Good evening and welcome to a Match of the Day programme packed with dramatic incidents and goals galore. Football at its best, but clouded by loutish behaviour off the field and unnecessary petulance on it. There's the Goal of the Month competition too, and Championship snooker to follow if you've got any breath left in 50 minutes' time. But first, it's Sunderland, the Roker Park Roar, and attacking visitors Manchester United.
Bit of arrogance there. Cummins, good save!
Well, then it's our chance to assess second division leaders Oxford United against Leeds United.
That's Rhodes-Brown, Hebbard. It's a good effort by Hebbard. Oh, he's hit the post.
As league leaders Everton lose again, a familiar name reappears in the top 7 of Division 1, neighbours Liverpool. And could Southampton be losing 2 of their England players, as tomorrow's Sunday newspapers allege a dressing room fight with manager Laurie McMenemy?
Well, there may well have been more people at other grounds today, but they certainly didn't make more noise than the spectators at Roker Park for the visit of Manchester United. The atmosphere was noisy and electric, and it seemed to inspire the players to frenzied physical effort. It was no place for the faint-hearted, as you'll see. Your commentator, Barry Davis.
Chris Turner's remarkable display is still very much the talking point at Roker Park, and his record at home shows just 4 goals conceded with 6 clean sheets. Because of injury, there are 2 changes in the lineup in front of him. Peter Daniel replaces Nick Pickering at fullback, and Stan Cummins starts a game for the first time since his return home from Crystal Palace. He's in place of Mark Proctor. Sean Elliott is still suspended. Gary Bailey knows well how records can be broken. The 5 goals he conceded at Goodison Park matched his total against for United in their opening 10 games of the season. But since that double defeat by Everton in League and Milk Cup, United have had 4 straight victories and 3 of them in the league. Injuries though today keep out Alveston and Moran, so Duxbury moves to left back, and 19-year-old Billy Garton is in the centre of the defence. Brian Robson returns home to his native northeast, and that makes it quite a week for Steve Berry. On Wednesday, Glenn Hoddle of Tottenham was met. Now it's the captain of England. Not bad for a player given a free transfer by Portsmouth. So the Sunderland kick-off, what amounts to a second cup tie here at Roker Park. United looking, I must say, rather strange in an all-blue strip. And it's the acting skipper, Venison, who gets in the first clearance for Sunderland. Gary Bailey's hair being ruffled by the wind. It's a bit of a swirler, but it seems to be slightly stronger blowing from left to right, if that's not a contradiction. And the referee, John Key of Rotherham, has made his presence felt right at the start. He obviously felt that was some time wasting. I can't think what else he gave it for, because it seemed to me that Gary Bailey was static. It certainly confused the England captain. Whether it was a matter of feet as far as Bailey was concerned, or whether simply because he stood still, I'm not sure. But Mr. Key ran some 40 yards to give the verdict. And Venison's shot curls into the crowd, up over the crossbar. Well, to put it mildly, provided an interesting start. Bailey, not surprisingly, opting to kick it clear. And the ball not held up very much by the wind. And there was a bit of a push by Bennett. United have Hughes and Whiteside again as their front 2. Gordon McGreen to take it. Moses with the touch. Robson, Jesper Olsen losing Venison, and off the underside of the crossbar from Whiteside. What an amazing start to this match. It's a lovely ball by Robson. Jesper Olsen was completely in the clear, and Norman Whiteside steamed in, and the ball came back off the underside of the crossbar. Kidman improvised well. So did Hughes, and he was fouled. Jesper Olsen has popped up on the left. But Strachan denied taking the kick quickly because he was too far forward. Queen is up on this attack. That's well held up. Moses, massive players. Robson trying to sort it out. Oh, and he's made it! Totally fooled Chris Turner, and how a goalkeeper's life can change in the space of 3 days. Brian Robson scoring in the 13th minute. I think the goalkeeper was conscious that he might be able to turn the ball out to the left of the United attack. Instead he went for the shot, and the ball crept in by Turner's left-hand post. The goal in 13 minutes, and it's Robson's 6th of the season. And here he is battling for the ball in defence, beaten by Hodgson. Stan Cummins was blocked by Gordon McQueen. Good play by Walker. And by Billy Garden. Well, the question is, how quickly can Chris Turner put that moment out of his mind? It's cleanly struck by Daniel. Whiteside. Got Hughes left, 2 the other way, Strachan and Olsen. And up comes Moses and Robson. Olsen. Strachan. Goal kick. Quickly cunningly played by Bennett. West. Robson seems to be in everything. Whiteside. Flag stayed down, and this is Hughes, and that's 2. Oh, what a clinical piece of finishing by Mark Hughes. Sunderland 2 down, United 2 up in 15 minutes, and you don't have to be told who they support. Really fine goal. Finish was classic by Hughes, buried it in the corner for goal number 11. It was a very, very tight decision. They looked for the linesman on this side. He kept his flag down. And Hughes took full advantage. So Sunderland in every sense start again. And here's an opportunity for Walker. Yes! Well, it may be a windy afternoon, but it's raining goals, that's for sure. Walker's goal in the 17th minute. And just to keep the metaphor about the weather, the sun has come out suddenly again after a pretty dull opening here at Roker Park as far as the home side are concerned. Up go the Sunderland flags, and we have a real match on our hands here. Olsen. Robson. Hughes. Free kick has been given. And just a little sweat between Hodgson and Hughes. But he's, I think, sending them both off. Yes, he is indeed. He's sending them both off. Hodgson and Hughes have been sent off for raising fists at each other. Well, that makes it 6 sendings off on this ground this season. 1 from either side. The linesman is flanking on the far side. Hodgson has already gone away. Ron Atkinson talking there with Hughes. And I can only assume that something has been said from the bench. Frank Burrows, the number 2 at Sunderland, and Ron Atkinson both making comments to the referee. The players definitely raised fists at each other. I would doubt if anything that could possibly be called a punch was landed. but both went off. And here's Stan Cummins as we return to football. Len Ashurst, the Sunderland manager, also down by the dugout. I have to say that in a match of this sort of tension, Mr. Key has not helped himself by his extraordinary decision at the opening, when he didn't apply the most important law of refereeing, which is to use common sense. Berry. Whiteside and Bennett. Whiteside, free kick for the challenge by Chisholm. Sunderland to pull everybody back. Robson plays it through to Duxbury. The linesman's flag is up, so it doesn't count. West. Bennett. Gale. Olsen to him. A little bit of afters between Gale and Olsen. And here's Bennett. And what would the referee give for that? Was there intent on the part of Gary Bailey as Garton made the mistake? He came across. Well, it looks as though he's pointing to the spot. Yes, indeed he is. A penalty has been given. Penalty against Gary Bailey, who flung himself through the air and caught Bennett. But whether with intent or not, well, the referee decided that it was with intent. And Walker with a chance of his second goal of the afternoon. And it's 2-2 in spite of a very, very brave attempt by Gary Bailey, who got his hands to the ball, but the pace of it beat him. Wasn't able to divert it round the post, only into the corner of the goal. So 2-2, 42 minutes gone. And if the two managers can sort a few things out during the half-time interval, we might be able to start again. Well played by McQueen. Strachan. Daniel. West. Stan Cummins. That will be another one. Cummins brought down by McQueen. In the closing seconds of the half, although time for one kick at least will not be of importance, because the kick has to be taken, even if we go over 90 minutes. Look at the expression on Atkinson's face. It's gone through a whole range of emotions, as indeed has everybody here in Roker Park during this first 45 minutes. And here's a man on a hat-trick. Clive Walker from the penalty spot for the second time. Same place. This time wide of Gary Bailey's dive. And Sunderland lead 3-2. And feelings around the ground of, I think it's the right word, delirium. Reduce two men from each side, or one man from each side, to reduce both teams down to 10 men. And before the ball arrives in the penalty area, the half-time whistle goes, and Clive Walker comes off with a hat-trick, two of them from the penalty spot. By the half-time interval, Sunderland have a 3-2 lead. An extraordinary first half. So, as they say, here we go again. United now a goal down, attacking the goal to our right. Chris Turner's disappointment at the first goal, which beat him, seems an awful long time ago. Queen. Shoulder. Walker inside his West. Kidman did well to jockey Walker away. And Robson back to help out. daisy cutter. Right side, pulling himself about. Barry Venison. Gary Bennett. West being well supplied at the start of the second half. Here's Gale. Oh, bit of arrogance there. Cummins. Good save. Beautifully struck. Fine play initially by Gale. Cummins was 22 yards out, I would suggest. Hit it well. A flying save by Gary Bailey. Venison. Derry. Walker. Right side berating the linesman. Some thought that was handball. Daniel. The whistle has gone and the referee has gone to speak to the linesman. And I suspect that will mean a booking for Norman Whiteside. And when will this youngster learn? There's great talent. He seems to find it very difficult not to pass the odd observation, to put it mildly. We've gone back for a throw. Walker. West, good save. Really good stop by Gary Bailey. Colin West denied again. He's only scored twice this season, on both occasions from the penalty spot. That was certainly a fine save by Gary Bailey. United want to make a substitution. And the Dutchman will replace the Dane. Arnold Muren, the player to come on to replace Jesper Olsen. Bench which has contained David Hodgson there with his hand to his face for most of the time since his dismissal. Didn't spend too much time in the dressing room. Cummins. Walker. Took it clean away from Kidman. Well claimed. Curling cross from Walker. It was curling away from the goalkeeper, who stretched well to hold it equally well. Robson. Duxbury. Strachan. Well, there's this to be an afternoon. United will look back and talk about the might-have-beens when the championship is all over. Can they yet save themselves? Here's Moses and he's onside! And there was a put in which made all the difference, and the book belonged to Daniel. Moses really quite distraught because that was a clear opportunity for 3-all. Credit to Daniel, who moved very quickly indeed. Only a corner results, which Muren will take. McQueen is up. Garton tried to be up at the back. Crowd, incidentally, of 25,405, which is a couple of thousand down on the figure here in midweek for the World Cup tie with Spurs. Berry. Cummins. They don't want to push men forward, they're more concerned at holding what they have. But here is West, one man to come inside really. Muren. Now playing the time that Mr. Key has on his watch for the stoppages. Robson, who started United on their way, desperate to the end to get them back to what seemed to be theirs at the beginning. All look very comfortable at 2-0. Free kick given against Strachan. Another shake of the head, and there have been many of those. The referee's had a signal from the linesman on the near side. And now from the one on the far. He's got his arm across his chest, indicating that time is up in his view. But the referee decides all things. And what he decided this afternoon will be debated for a long time. Sunderland have the victory, all 3 goals by Clive Walker. And the man who has made the headlines here is not on the score sheet. He was there to control the game.
Well, questions raised by Barry Davies about players and the referee. And it's easier sorting it out in retrospect, I must confess. And the first conclusion to be drawn, as you've no doubt seen, was that the referee, John Key, was absolutely right in awarding both penalties. I'm not too sure, though, that Hughes was onside before his goal. Although it was controversial, Mr. Key couldn't be wrong in penalising Gary Bailey for time wasting, for that's entirely at the referee's discretion. And I can tell you it was 8 seconds before Bailey went to kick the ball. But there'll have been goalkeepers all over the 4 divisions today holding the ball twice as long without penalty. And we're all in favour, I'm sure, of any move that gets the ball back into play quickly. But wouldn't it be better if a number of seconds was stipulated as a guideline, understood by referees, players and spectators alike, than to have the obvious inconsistency that exists at the moment? Well, now for the sending off of Hughes and Hodgson. And players know that if they raise their hands at all at an opponent, they're at risk. And following several pretty genuine attempts to get the ball, it finally ran loose from Hodgson and Hughes. And you can see Hodgson lunge back with his elbow at Hughes, making contact with his face. In frustration, Hughes then flings up both arms in a circular movement which could hardly get him on the bill at the Wembley Arena next Tuesday, but got him sent off today, no doubt feeling doubly sore about the whole thing. And I did too, because whoever you choose to blame, it tarnished an exciting game. Tony.
Manchester United's Brian Robson made an emergency dash to hospital at the end of that match after being told that his mother Maureen had been taken ill while watching the game in the stands. Tonight she's fairly comfortable in the Sunderland General Hospital. Southampton manager Lawrie McMenemy faces a crisis over 2 of his England players, with Steve Williams now apparently wanting a transfer after England teammate Mark Wright has failed to turn up at the club for the last 2 days. Neither played in today's 1-0 win at home to Newcastle, but Lawrie McMenemy declined afterwards to talk about front-page stories in tomorrow's Sunday newspapers, alleging that he and Mark Wright had a dressing room fight during Tuesday's Milk Cup tie with Queen's Park Rangers. Wright didn't make himself available for today's game, said McMenemy, and Williams feels it may be time to move. Everton's midweek Milk Cup defeat was followed by another in the league today. John Dean got 2 of the Norwich goals as they beat the league leaders 4-2 at Carrow Road. And whatever happened to that crisis at Liverpool? John Walk got both the Liverpool goals as they beat his old club Ipswich 2-0 at Anfield, and Liverpool have now taken 13 points from the last 15 and climbed up to 7th place in Division 1. Goal difference takes Tottenham into 2nd place above Manchester United after this morning's 1-1 draw with Chelsea at White Hart Lane, while Arsenal will go top alphabetically if they beat Sheffield Wednesday by 3 clear goals in the match at Hillsborough tomorrow afternoon.
Now we continue our assessment of the Cannon League 2nd Division promotion candidates by visiting Oxford United, current leaders, for their match against Leeds United. And so far, Leeds' mixture of well-ripened talent and immature promise has not borne fruit completely, but Oxford United have followed success with success and goals with yet more goals. Your commentator, John Motson.
John Aldridge, with 14 goals this season, is the 2nd Division's top scorer, and his partner Billy Hamilton is just 1 behind with 13. And their team Oxford have in fact scored 163 goals since the start of last season and have lost just 2 of their last 34 league games. The fact that 6 players are ever present this season and a further 3 have missed just 5 matches between them suggests a settled side is Oxford's recipe. They're unchanged today. And so too are Leeds, who have 7 players on that team sheet aged 22 or under. By contrast, goalkeeper David Harvey is 36 and number 10 Peter Lorimer is 38 next month. Lorimer made his league debut for Leeds in 1962, the year that Oxford were elected to the Football League in place of Accrington Stanley. The referee this afternoon is John Mools from Essex. This is the first ever league meeting between Oxford United and Leeds United, but last season in the Milk Cup, Leeds lost 4-1 here after a draw at Elland Road. Pitch is obviously very heavy and will cut up after all the rain we've had. Here's Langan. Rhodes-Brown, Hebard. It's a good effort by Hebard. Oh, he's hit the post. That was a brilliant attempt. And still they press. Langen. Played by Sellers. Here's Lorimer. Wright's in the centre. Ritchie's coming in now as well. Gray. Ritchie. Useful ball by Ritchie, and Lorimer had been a yard further forward. Leeds might well have scored from Ritchie's cross. Sellers, and Wright is onside here, and he slipped the goalkeeper. It's Tommy Wright, and Ritchie off the line by Langen, I think. Well, Oxford were absolutely caught. Tommy Wright was onside. He got past Steve Hardwick. He tucked it in. Ritchie with the attempt, not very much weight on the ball, and David Langen in the right place at the right time to save Oxford. Forward there by Gray. The referee looked to the linesman. There was no flag. This is Sellers. Oh, and Ritchie got the rebound, and here's a chance for Wright. It's a goal for Leeds. Oxford were victims there of their own mistake. The ball was carelessly given away. Andy Ritchie picked it up, pushed it through to Tommy Wright, and he puts Leeds into the lead. Tommy Wright, the top scorer, but he's been going through a lean spell recently. In recent games, hadn't scored in the last 9, but he was very sure of the way he pushed that past Steve Hardwick to put Leeds in front. And a mistake, really, by David Langen. Looking for Hamilton. Cross came from John Truick there. Gray. Right to the left, Ritchie on the other side. That's for Wright. It's a good ball too. And here's Lorimer. 2-0 to Leeds. And the teenager made it for the veteran. Gray got Tommy Wright going down the left, and the 18-year-old who scored the first goal crossed that beautifully. Hardwick couldn't cut it out properly, and in came Lorimer to score the second for Leeds. Leeds' all-time record scorer, nearly 38, but still deadly, especially from that range. Again, a good swift break by Leeds United. Accurate passing, plenty of pace, and in the end, a clinical finish. And the Leeds fans behind the left-hand goal really enjoying themselves. And that mistake by Hamilton has put Sheridan in. And it's got Leeds moving on their left with Gary Hampson. Oh, and that's come off Brock, and MacDonald has to clear. Hebard. Hamilton. Now Rhodes-Brown. Good little chip ball that. Hebard. Oh no. Leeds Leeds are getting there first. Rhodes-Brown. Corner off Irwin. Five minutes left in the first half, and Oxford dearly in need of a goal. Oh, it's got in! Briggs got there! Against his hometown club, the scorer is Gary Briggs. Beautiful header. Kevin Brock's corner, well delivered. As Jim Smith says on corners, it's all about the quality of the ball in. That was a good one, and Gary Briggs thumped his header past Harvey. So, the Oxford centre-half, Leeds born, puts his side back in the match at 2-1. And Brock, the man who supplied the corner. And a rumbustious first half here with an element of surprise. Little Tommy Wright, when you see him off the field, you feel he should still be in schoolboy football. He's almost a waif and stray in appearance, but he certainly popped up in the Oxford defence to score and then to make one for Lorimer. Shotton will take the blame for the first goal, but then his defensive partner Gary Briggs got one back with his first of the season to make the half-time score Oxford 1, Leeds 2. Well, the last visitors to win at the Manor Ground were Gillingham on March the 13th. Oxford have gone 17 home games without defeat since then, and indeed in the second division overall this season, Oxford have lost only one. That was at Manchester City, but Leeds put a bomb underneath them in the first half here. Can they capitalise in the second, I wonder? Played forward by Gray to Ritchie. And now it's Lorimer. Met by Shotton and up by Dickinson for Ritchie. Rhodes-Brown. Dickinson again. Lorimer. Right. The ball was out. Here's Langan. Truick again. And Hebbard to float one. Hamilton's there at the far post. 2-2. A simple enough goal. Hebbard involved in the build-up. The ball chipped across to the far post, and Billy Hamilton came in to score his 14th of the season for Oxford. That puts him level with Aldridge, but more important, it puts Oxford level on the day. That was Briggs. Now Linnigan. Aldridge with the header. Hamilton. And here's Brock. And Aldridge is coming in. It's there. 3-2. Aldridge scores for Oxford, and they've come from 2-0 behind to take the lead. And in all honesty, Aldridge gets double the credit for that goal, because he was part of the build-up. He got the ball wide to Brock. He made his way to the far post. Brock's cross was perfect. Aldridge's header was just as good. And with his 15th goal of the season, the top scorer in Division 2 makes it Oxford 3, Leeds United 2. And the famous slope on the manor ground comes to Oxford's aid again. They started the second half 2-1 down, and they've got 2 goals in double quick time. And the partnership we spotlighted at the start is on target again. John Aldridge and Billy Hamilton. Hevered forward. Irwin. Langan to Brock. Driven forward for Billy Hamilton. And now Sheridan for Leeds. The early ball again, looking for Wright. Shotton is the defender. And here's Hebbard. Rhodes-Brown on the left wing. Got his cross in. Dickinson wasn't sure. Hamilton's there. And Linnigan it was who helped Dickinson out. As Hamilton threatened to pounce on the error. Brock with the corner. And Hamilton, mistake! And Briggs. Rhodes-Brown with the cross. Hamilton's in there again, and Aldridge almost got a foot to it. How well they work together, those two. Hamilton headed it down. And Aldridge was within a foot or so of getting it in. Dickinson. Hebbard was in the way. Hamilton. Oh, it's Aldridge. He's clean through. He's got past the goalkeeper. Aldridge, 4-2. What a game this is. Aldridge gets his second. Billy Hamilton working so well with Aldridge. And once he put him through the middle, Aldridge knew what to do. Round the goalkeeper. A typical striker's goal, that. And Oxford now have taken their total of goals for the season to 49. And here's Wright for Leeds. Hamilton. So we've got Aldridge on a hat-trick. Hamilton won't mind that. And Leeds United want to make a substitution. Mark Gavin, who is a winger, is going to come on. And Scott Sellers is the player going off. Lorimer tussling with Rhodes-Brown. Oh, I say, that's Aldridge and Lorimer. And Aldridge's reaction there left Lorimer holding his face. I never touched him, says Aldridge. You could see him say that. Now, the referee's got to take a view on this as to what really happened there. No doubt about the two players involved, Lorimer and Aldridge. Lorimer claiming that he was struck in the face, it would appear. Lorimer still showing his anger, and he looks as though he's being booked as well. And has he sent Peter Lorimer off? He's sent Peter Lorimer off. He looks mystified. Aldridge has been booked, but Lorimer, Peter Lorimer, the veteran player of Leeds United, 22 years in the Football League, and I've never seen him in that sort of trouble before. He appears to have got the worst of it physically with a blow on the lip, but he's been sent off the pitch. Whether that's for his part in the incident initially, or whether he said something to the referee afterwards, in the heat of the moment, it's difficult to say from here. Aldridge. chance for him again. Oh, I say. They call him the second division Ian Rush. It doesn't look unlike him, actually. But my word, he knows where the goal is, just the same as the Liverpool striker. Actually, he was born in Liverpool, John Aldridge. And the Leeds supporters have lost their heads completely now. Sad memories of a minority letting Leeds down in the past, and they've done so again. Jim Smith sharing the concern of everybody else in the ground, because there does seem to be a danger now in football that crowds are going to start getting matches either abandoned or replayed, and we don't want that. Brock. Aldridge! A hat-trick! And 17 goals this season. How do you stop John Aldridge? And when you've got a man who can cross the ball like Kevin Brock, and you've got a player that can feed on chances like Aldridge, no wonder you lead the second division only a year after winning the third. Oxford United 5, Leeds United 2. Brock the supplier again, but the man making the headlines here today, John Aldridge with 3 goals, and he's in the middle again now as Hamilton gets possession. And Oxford United confirm their position at the top of the second division by winning 5-2 after being 2 goals behind. An afternoon packed with incident here at the Manor Ground. Billy Hamilton got the goal just after half-time that turned the match, but it was his striking partner John Aldridge who got the next 3 that clinched the points for Oxford. Leeds had Lorimer sent off, and there was a little bit of crowd disturbance too, but in second division terms, there's no holding Oxford. They've scored 50 goals this season, and they're on course for Division 1.
And isn't that Oxford United success story splendid? No one enjoys or deserves it more than Jim Smith. But what a pity that it's the outrageous behaviour of a small number of pitiable louts on the terraces that will make the headlines. And some will suggest that it was all provoked by the behaviour of 1 or 2 players, particularly the scorer of a hat-trick, John Aldridge, and even the referee, only doing his job after all. Well, that's far too glib an explanation of a major social problem. Those morons don't need a reason. But in retrospect, Peter Lorimer will feel he was unlucky to be sent off. But he should know by now, whatever the provocation, not to tempt Providence by over-vigorous protest. Lorimer tricked and tackled his way past Rhodes Brown and then tried something similar on Aldridge with a touch of shirt and arm pulling to help. Aldridge's reaction, a flinging back of arm and hand, does make contact, but was not the knockout blow we might be led to think. But again, a splendid match in the main, plenty to enjoy from both sides, leaving Oxford United a little nearer making history. Tony.
Almost 10 hours of football without a goal finally ended for second division Brighton today when Terry Connor put them 1-up against visitors Middlesbrough, but relief was short-lived. They lost 2-1. Goal scoring isn't a problem though for Blackburn Rovers, who remained the only team in the league to have scored in every match this season following today's 3-0 home win over Charlton. It's a win that takes Blackburn into second place in the table, above Portsmouth, who led Manchester City with 2 Neil Webb goals at Main Road before being held to a 2-2 draw. Oxford, joint leaders this morning, are now a point clear. Millwall remain the leaders of Division 3 after drawing 1-1 at Bristol Rovers, but now only on goal difference from Bradford, who beat Burnley 2-1. Hull, Gillingham and Rotherham all won. Chesterfield are the new leaders of Division 4 following their 1-0 win at Torquay. This morning's leaders Darlington have slipped to third after a 1-1 draw at Peterborough, with Bury, who won 2-0 away at Mansfield, now second on goal difference. There are 10 score draws, 2 no-score draws on the coupons, and telephone claims are required for 24 points with the dividend forecast fair. The score draws are numbered 2, 15, 17, 18, 21, 23, 34, 35, 41 and 51.
Well, now for the November Goal of the Month competition. I'll remind you how to enter in a moment, but first a look at the goals, starting with goal A scored by Tony Woodcock for Arsenal at Manchester United.
Nicholas just kept it in. Look for Woodcock, and what a fine header! Oh, a superb goal!
Goal B scored by Mike Hazard for Tottenham Hotspur at Nottingham Forest.
And here's Hazard from the corner. Good effort, oh yes! That's Mick Hazard's current form, summed up in one moment.
Goal C scored by Kerry Dixon for Chelsea against Manchester City.
Nevin, great play. Teasing cross two, and that's another. Dixon gets his hat-trick.
Goal D scored by Peter Lorimer for Leeds United at Oxford United today.
Gray. Right to the left, Ritchie on the other side. That's for Wright. It's a good ball too. And here's Lorimer. 2-0 to Leeds. And the teenager made it for the veteran.
Goal E scored by Billy Hamilton for Oxford United in the same match.
Here's Langen. Truick again. And Hebert to float one. Hamilton's there at the far post. 2-2.
Goal F scored by John Aldridge, also for Oxford United today.
Dickinson. Hebert was in the way. Hamilton. Oh, it's Aldridge. He's clean through. He's got past the goalkeeper. Aldridge, 4-2. What a game this is.
Goal G scored by Clive Walker for Sunderland against Manchester United.
And here's an opportunity for Walker. Yes! Well, it may be a windy afternoon, but it's raining goals, that's for sure.
Well, here's a check on those goals. Goal A, Tony Woodcock. B, Mike Hazard. C, Kerry Dixon. D, Peter Lorimer. E, Billy Hamilton. F, John Aldridge. And G, Clive Walker. And here's how to enter. You put your name and address on the left-hand side of a postcard, please, and your goal selections in 1, 2, 3 order on the right-hand side. And you address the postcard to Goal of the Month, BBC Television, London, W12 8QT. That's Goal of the Month, BBC Television, London, W12 8QT. And the sender of the first correct entry, drawn from our postbag to coincide with the choice of our panel, will receive £100 worth of premium bonds. Well, that's all for tonight. Plenty to keep you talking about in the programme, as it's done with us here in the studio. Championship snooker coming up next and throughout the week, including Wednesday in Sports Night at 10:20, where top of the bill is the 3-titled middleweight showdown between Tony Simpson and Mark Kaler. And we leave you with today's hat-trick scored by John Aldridge. And I know some of you feel, as in cricket, goals should be consecutive, as are wickets, to qualify as a hat-trick. In professional football, though, it's different, I can assure you. But whichever way you reckon it, John Aldridge qualified today. Good night.
And here's Brock. And Aldridge is coming in. It's there. 3-2. Hebert was in the way. Hamilton. Oh, it's Aldridge. He's clean through. He's got past the goalkeeper. Aldridge, 4-2. What a game this is!